topic for today is going to be what happens when we change this number here from 1 to something different. Right now it's our familiar sine graph with the 1 there. And just as another little reminder, the way this works is we pick a value for x like 118. It says what's the sine ratio for 118? So we go to our circle. We start here as usual. We turn 118 degrees to get to here. Our sine ratio is the y-coordinate that is 0.9. Within rounding divided by 1. So when x is 118 for my input, the sine ratio is 0.9 for my output. I plot the point, and then we keep going in that way. By the time we get to 360, we're all the way around the circle. We have a full wave here. It took us from 0 to 360 to complete the wave. That's what's called the period in this case. The period is 360. Let's change this to a 2 and see what happens. So I'm going to go back to the start here. I'm going to change that to a 2, and we'll see what happens. We start here at 0 again. So my input is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So I need the sine of 0. So we're back here again. When x is 0, the sine ratio is 0. Let's turn a little bit. This time x is 60. 2 times 60 is 120 here. So I turn 120 degrees, and I want the sine ratio for that 120 degree angle, which is 0.9, and I plot the point. So when x was 60, 2 times x was 120, and the sine ratio for that was 0.9, and we plotted the point. I'm going to keep increasing x. Look what happens on the circle as we do this. By the time I get to 90 here, we're already halfway around the circle because we plugged a 90 for x, but 2 times x is 180. So to get the sine ratio of 180, we'd have to turn to here. We're basically speeding things up. We're going twice as fast around the circle as we were before. So by the time I get to 180 here, we're going to be all the way around the circle. We'll have completed a full wave. So now what's called the period takes us from 0 to 180 to complete a full wave. The period is now 180 for this graph. Once we get here, we just go around the circle again. So when x is 200, plug a 200 for x. 2 times x is 400. So 360 plus another 40 would get us to 400, or another 45 would get us to 405. Sine ratio is that y-coordinate of 0.7, so sine ratio is 0.7. Input was 202, and we keep going. By the time we get to 360 for x, 2 times 360 is 720. So by the time x is 360, we've gone around the circle twice. So that 2 basically sped things up. We went around the circle twice as fast, so we got not one wave, but 2 full waves between 0 and 360.